we will enter into Muqaddimah Hadramiyah. Last week there was some technical problems when it comes to the recording in YouTube, but I think the Spreaker recording is there. So for those who wants to follow the class, you can also go to my Spreaker. Go to my Spreaker. Or I do not know. I think Facebook also maybe is better. But when it comes to YouTube, only it is shown 1 minute. So what I will do before we enter into Muqaddimah Hadramiyah, maybe I will just give a summary of some of the things that we mentioned last week. So basically, last week we spoke about certain field that originally it is a field, but then it becomes pure. So we spoke about liquor. That liquor it becomes pure when it becomes vinegar. So through the process and the fermentation, liquor can become pure when it reaches to the level of vinegar. So this is point number 1. Point number 2 is when it comes to the skin of animals that are tanned, that go through the process of tannery. So it becomes pure again. So originally it is a najis, it is a filth, but after the process of tannery, it becomes pure. And then anything that becomes an animal or an insect, if it comes from something that is a filth, for example maggots, originally it is a filth, but when it becomes maggot, it becomes a living thing, it becomes pure again, because we have this principle that all living things are pure except for dogs and swines. All living things are pure except for dogs and swines. This is the madhab al-imam, the opinion prevailing judgment in our madhab al-imam Shafi'i. So maggots are pure. Everything that we see, every animal is pure when they are alive. But of course when they are dead, they are a form of carcass which is not pure, unless if the animals that are edible, that we can eat, they are slaughtered Islamically, then only it becomes it is pure. But the skin of those animals, can become pure, even though originally it is a filth, by the process of tannery. So last week I believe I spoke about the process of tannery, and then after that we enter into the part where the author speak about how to remove any filth. So now inshallah we go back to the notes. For those of you who are following, you can use the Malay translation for the time being, and refer to the Arabic and the English translations that you see on the screen. Inshallah ta'ala soon we will print this book, Muqaddimah Hadramiyah. Inshallah it will be available. The reason I do not print it because we are still in the process of editing some of these things. So now we enter into chapter on ways to remove any filth. So the author mentioned إذا تنجس شيء بملاقات كلب أو فرعه مع رطوبة غسل سبعا مع مزج إحداهن بتراب الطهور. So he mentioned that if something touches the dog or the offsprings and there is wetness, then it is wajib for that person to wash the part that is touched 7 times. One of the times using soil. So this is basically in Arabic we call it tatrib. Tatrib is to wash using turab, that is the soil. So imagine if a person touch a dog for example, or if a dog comes into a person and the dog lick at his leg. So the first thing that what he should do is to use something like a tissue paper to remove the essence of the filth. And if it is a form of saliva, so you take the tissue and you cleanse away the saliva from your feet. So now when the essence is not around, we know the traces are there. So this is the time that we use water to cleanse. So always remember this. If there are still traces of the essence of the filth, you have to remove the essence. You have to remove the essence. Do not straight away pour water, because if you straight away pour water, it will spread into other body parts. So what you need to do is to remove the essence, and then after that you pour the water. This is the time when you pour 7 times. Yani one of the times and using water that is mixed with soil. And the best way is to use the first washing with the soil. So the first washing you pour the water that is mixed with soil, followed by 6 washings of pure water. So this is what the author mentioned. So he said that if anything touches the dog, which is najis mughallada, major filth, anything touches the dog, then we have to wash 7 times. One of the 7 with water. Then he said, wal afdalu an yakuna fil ula. The best is to use the mixture of soil in the first washing. Summa fi ghayr al-akhirah. Then either we use it on the second or the third, or not, but not on the last. Because why? The last should be pure water, so that it removes all traces of the filth and also the soil. So either we use the best is to use in the first washing, but either you use the second, third, fourth, fifth, or the number 6, but not any number 7. But the best is to use on the first. So we separate between water that is mixed with soil and water that is pure. Then he mentioned wal khinziru kal kalb. Yani the ruling of the pig is the same as the dog. The ruling of the pig or the swine is the same as the dog. What is the meaning? Yani the pig is also considered to be a major filth. So if we say that anything that you touch from the dog and any of it is wet, whether your hands is wet or the dog is wet, then the filth is transferred. But if both are dry, then there is no transferring of filth. And if, for example, if you touch a dog, the dog is dry and your hand is dry, then no issue. But it is better to abstain. It is better to abstain. Likewise, pertaining to pigs. If anyone is wet, then we have to wash 7 times. The part touches the pig. So just like how we say that the dog is a major filth, likewise the pig is also a major filth, and it is based on qiyas. It is based on analogy, because the original ruling is that the dog is the major filth, based on the hadith of Abu Hurairah, where the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, إِذَا وَلَغَ الْكَلْبُ فِي إِنَاءِ أَحَدِكُمْ فَلْيَغْسِلْهُ سَبْعًا إِحْدَاهُنَّ بِتُرَابٍ. That if the dog drinks from one of your containers, then you have to wash the containers 7 times. One of it using water that is mixed with soil. So we have to understand it is water that is mixed with soil, not soil. Not you take any dry soil and you wipe on your hands. That is not what is meant. What is meant, if you take pure soil that is not mixed with anything, and you mix it with water, so it becomes soil water. So when it becomes soil water, then you pour on the place that touches the filth. That is the meaning. وَمَا تَنَجَّسَ بِبَوْلِ صَبِيٍّ لَمْ يَطْعَمْ إِلَّا اللَّبَنْ فَيُنْضَحُ بِالْمَاءِ. This is najis mukhaffafa. So we have najis mughallada, the major filth, that is the dog and the swine. And then we have najis mukhaffafa, a light kind of filth, which is only one, that is the urine of a baby boy that has not reached 2 years of age, that only drinks milk. So how we cleanse ourselves from the urine? By spraying and sprinkling any water that is more than the urine itself. So for example, if the urine is the size, for example, of maybe a 50-cent coin, for example, so we sprinkle any more than that, then it becomes clean. We can perform in our prayers, because this is a kind of najis mukhaffafa, a light kind of filth. So it only applies to urine. It only applies to the urine, not the vomit and the what you call it, the other kinds of filth. وَمَا تَنَجَّسَ بِغَيْرِ ذَلِكَ فَإِنْ كَانَتْ عَيْنِيَّةً وَجَبَتْ إِزَالَةُ عَيْنِهِ وَطَعْمِهِ وَلَوْنِهِ وَرِيحِهِ. So now the author he spoke about najis mughallada and najis mukhaffafa. So najis mughallada, easy. There are 2 types. One is the dog and the swine, and the way to remove the filth is to wash 7 times. One of the 7 with a mixture of soil and water. And then najis number 2 is najis mukhaffafa, that is a light kind of filth, which is the urine of a baby boy who has not reached 2 years old. So you can write this down. Have not reached 2 years old. What you call it? And he only drinks milk. Only drinks any milk. So the urine of this kind of baby boy, it is a minor filth. It is a minor filth, and we just have to sprinkle any water more than the size of the filth. Other than the major and the minor filth, and we have the medium filth, that is called najis mutawassita. Najis ani mutawassita. So basically, najis ani mutawassita is anything that is not mughalladha and mukhaffafa. It is in between. So when comes into najis ani mutawassita, for example, vomit, urine, feces, what else? Liquor, all this we mentioned in the past. Blood, all this are filth, correct or not? All this are considered to be filth. So now, if you are speaking about the medium filth, you are speaking about najis and mutawassita. Najis and mutawassita is divided into 2 main parts, and you might want to write this down. We have najis ainiyah and we have najis hukmiyah. Ainiyah, hukmiyah. Type. What is the meaning of ainiyah? Ainiyah is a filth that you can what you call it, either see it or smell it or taste it. So it is by the color, taste, and the other one is the smell. So any filth that has any of these properties is ainiyah. So for example, if you are in the toilet and and you see a puddle of water and you smell urine, and for example, and you see that water, it is yellowish in color, this is ainiyah. This is a form of ainiyah. Likewise, when you see blood, likewise when you see urine, when you see the color of this najis, or you taste it. Taste can have 2 meanings. One is taste using our hands, and the other one is by the tongue. Yani sometimes, for example, a person unintentionally he thought, for example, this is water, so he wants to drink it. So when the water reaches the tongue, then he knows that this is a filth, that this is a filth. And for example, he sees something that is red, and he thought this is what you call it, rose water, or water that is mixed with syrup and so on. But when he drinks his blood, for example, so how does he know by the taste? So this is possible. This is one of the ways that a person can ascertain that this particular thing is a filth. The other meaning of taste is taste with your body parts. And for example, by your hands, and you taste. For example, you can taste something that is vomit, and when it is slimy, for example, this is vomit. You taste blood, and by your hands, the what you call it, the contents, the characteristics of the blood, that for people who are doctors and so on, and they can differentiate whether this is blood or not blood, just by touching. So touching is one of the meaning of taste. Likewise, using the tongues. Some people when they read the books of fiqh and fuqaha, for example, mention by the taste. So some people they are confused, how can you taste filth by your tongue? So it doesn't mean that it is wajib for you to taste filth by your tongue. But what it means is that form of filth can be ascertained by the taste. Can be ascertained by the taste. But it doesn't mean that you use your tongue to taste something to ascertain whether it is a filth or not a filth. But it happens at times when accidentally people consume for example, something that is a filth. So by tasting it, people can understand that this is a filth. And for example, if a person drinks liquor, if a person drinks liquor, he thought that this is maybe a vinegar, or maybe 7-Up, for example. And then when he drinks, and he can feel the alcohol in the content by the taste. So this is the meaning of taste. So basically, najis mutawassita, medium filth, is anything that is seen by the color, or is smelled by our sense of smell, or it is tasted, whether we are speaking any about tasting any with the tongue or tasting any with the other body parts. So anything any that has any of these three properties is najis mutawassita, and it is considered to be ainiyah. This is what I'm trying to explain just now. This is najis ainiyah. So if you look any at the notes, here, he said, وَمَا تَنَجَّسَ بِغَيْرِ ذَلِكَ, anything that is other than other than najis mughalladha and mukhaffafa. Because before this, the author speaks about the dogs and the swine, then he speaks about najis mukhaffafa, the urine of the baby boy. Other than this, all are mutawassita. So he said, فَإِنْ كَانَتْ عَيْنِيَةً, yani if it is a type of ainiyah. So for those of you who wants to remember this, and you just put these three properties, yani the smell, the color, and the taste. Anything that has any of this one of these three properties, it is considered to be ainiyah. If it is any ainiyah, this is where he said, wajabat izalatu ainihi wa ta'mihi wa lawnihi wa rihihi. So there are three things here. If it is ainiyah, it is wajib for us to remove the color, remove the smell, remove the taste. Then only it becomes pure. So for example, yani if you have a shirt or a shawl, for example, there is a filth, and this is mutawassita. For example, there's urine by the smell or by the color, for example, yellowish. So now, how do you ascertain that it is pure? So when you wash it and you're under running water, for example, if you manage to remove all the three properties, the smell, the color, and the taste, now the cloth is pure. So this is how we ascertain najis ainiyah. Najis ainiyah will be gone if these three properties are gone. So this is what the author is speaking about. So once these three things disappear, then we ascertain that the thing is pure. So this is the first part, and you're speaking about najis ainiyah. But what happens if you wash and wash, but the properties are still there? So then he mentioned, وَلَا يَدُرُ بَقَاءُ لَوْنٍ أَوْ رِيحٍ عَسُرَ زَوَالُهُ. So he spoke about two properties. Number one is the color, and number two is the smell. If you wash and wash many times, but the color is still there. If you wash excessively, the color is still there, it is forgiven. Remember this, it is forgiven. There are certain kind of filth that is mixed with sulfur, for example, yellowish. You can wash and you put soap and you take this scrub, for example, the yellowish color is still there, but the taste and the smell is not there. So we say, khalas, this is an exceptional case, that since you have done it excessively, it is forgiven. Point number one. Point number two is pertaining to the smell only. You wash and you wash, the color, mashallah, disappear. The taste, no more taste. Tamam? But the smell is still there. You wash and wash excessively, the smell is still there. This is also forgiven. So many of our scholars mentioned to what extent we know that it is excessive. So some of scholars mentioned that to the extent that you have to cut it. And for example, if there is any filth on my on my shawl, for example, and I wash excessively to such an extent, and I tell myself that this is impossible for me to remove this kind of filth unless I cut it. Now khalas, we say this is forgiven. This is forgiven. And some of the fuqaha they come into this to this judgment, that to such an extent that you have to cut it. Then we say it is forgiven. So remember this, either the color or either the smell. But what happens if both are present? The color and the smell, not taste. The color and the smell, if both are present, it is not forgiven. Both are present and it is not any forgiven, or only taste. There is no color, there is no smell, but there is taste, not forgiven. So meaning you have to wash again. You have to wash again, because if both of them are present, the color and and the smell, and it means that the filth and is still present. The essence and is still present. Likewise, if what you call it, the smell and is still from the taste and is still present, it means that the essence and is still there. Okay. Now, then after that, and he mentioned wa in lam yakun lin najasati ain kafa jaryul ma'i alaiha. So now he's speaking about najis, the second part. That is najis hukmiyah. Najis and hukmiyah is the opposite of ainiyah. Ainiyah, we say there must be three properties. Number one, either the smell, either of these three properties, either the smell, the color, or the taste. But hukmiyah is a time in your field where there is no color, no smell, no taste, but it is a field. But this is hukmiyah. For example, you enter into a bathroom and you know there is filth, but you don't smell anything, you don't see anything, and you don't taste anything, but you are convinced that there is a filth. For example, because some types of filth, for example, after some time you leave it, it becomes the color goes away, the smell and it goes away, the taste and it goes away, but the filth and it is still present, and the essence and of the filth and it is still present. This is what we call hukmiyah, meaning you cannot see it, but it is there. You cannot see it, but it is there. So in this situation, we do not speak about you have to remove the color, or you have to remove the taste, or you have to remove all the three properties, because in reality there are no such things. So what you have to do is jaryul ma. This one in the author mentioned, you have just to pour water one time. Yani you pour water, khalas, it is clean again. So this is with regard to najis, that is called najis hukmiyah. Najis the filth that cannot be be seen. Wa yushtaratu wuhudil ma'il qalil. And the condition is that you pour the water on top. That you pour the water on top. And what you call it, there is an incident during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. An Arab Bedouin came into a masjid and he urinated. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told the Sahaba to pour water, because last time the mosque of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is made of soil, so the urine actually goes into the ground. So the on top, the remains, what you call it, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam commanded the Sahaba to pour water, because the water push the urine inside to such an extent there are no more traces of water. So the condition when it comes to najis hukmiyah is that we pour water and we remove that water, then it becomes pure again. So inshallah, this is going to be our lesson for today, because time of Isha has come. There is a question. Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum salam. Must the milk that the small boy drinks, or the baby boy, strictly be breast milk? No, it can be any milk, whether it is milk of the mother's milk or the cow's milk, or the milk of the sheep or camel. What is most important is it is pure milk. That's the thing. And if I am certain there is najis hukmiyah in my bed sheet, but I do not know which part it is, and I lie on it with a wet body on a certain portion, does the najis transfer to my body? So now, if you have a najis on a bed sheet, and you are certain there is najis, but you are not certain where it is. You are not certain anywhere it is. The way to cleanse the bed sheet is to wash the whole bed sheet. Here you cannot make ishtihad. You cannot be saying that the filth is this part or that part. So you have to wash the whole bed sheet, because the whole bed sheet now it takes the ruling of filth. And if you lie down with a wet body, yes, that filth can be transferred to your body. So you have to wash. Wallahu a'lam bis-shawab. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.